All right, so we took this thing to the field today. Our New Holland 1412. It's just a mower right now because it's missing some parts down here to make it a mower conditioner. But as we were going along, we got over halfway done, probably about 3/4 of the way done. We got a problem right here. If this one spins, this one's supposed to spin. And obviously, I mean, that's bad. So we've got one of two things going on here. We've got, you can see where it hit a couple times right there. But anyway, we've either got the intermediate shaft that goes in between these two is stripped, or this side is stripped, or this side is stripped. So what do we have to do? So this one's a little bit different than my 617. I do have some tools for this. We got to take all these rock covers off, or actually all three of these rock covers off have to come down. We got to get those out of the way. I'm gonna try and split it apart right here first, and take this end off, maybe. Yeah, that's what's gonna have to happen. So split it here and here, keep this held up. We'll jack it up a little bit and put some blocks under it, and that way this side stays up where it's supposed to be, and then we'll use a jack and our train jack and everything over here to take this one apart. But yeah, I'm hoping it's the intermediate shaft because I actually have those. It is the same part of my 617. So I actually have quite a few of those. Let's hope it's not the piece in here. I do have one gearbox, but I can't remember if it's clockwise or counterclockwise. Anyway, so we're going to start kind of taking this apart, and we'll be back here in a minute. Okay, so not sure exactly what size this is. I'm assuming it's going to be like a 9/16 or a 5/8. Or I could just be totally wrong. It could be an 11/16. Or I could be even more wrong than that. It could be metric. Or it's a 3/4. If it's anything other than a 3/4. All right, that's a 3/4. Okay, so I gotta take it off. This one and that one, at least. Hopefully that's it. You go get me a magnet tray. Those actually have Loctite on them. Green Loctite. Oops, knocked my phone off. I knew I was going to do that. Come on, get on there. No, get all the way on there. I don't think I have any more of these bolts. There's the red handle hammer is down there. Will you please get it? Probably not going to come off real easy.
The different size.
No, it's just worn because it's been dragging the ground. So It's worn. That don't sound good. Okay, go get the big one. I don't think it's gonna fit a neck.
Big hammer.
No, not the big hammer, the big impact. And then go in the Connex in the top drawer of the bottom green box. I need a 3/4 socket. Yep, that ain't coming off. Hopefully my impact didn't messed up. No. Come on over there. Hey, a shallow well. My neck. Oop. So I got some special tools over here for this thing. Mower tool set, which you're supposed to put this on there. It's in the wrong place. That's not an impact one.
You didn't have any.
Was there black?
I know. We only had deep ones.
Hopefully it comes off. I don't think it's coming off. I think it's just rounding it off. Yeah, I gotta have a 6-point. Get the deep. Ow, that's hot. Leave it.
Leave it.
Get the deep well. I don't know if this one's gonna come off. Yeah, that screwed that one up. I don't know that that's gonna come off now. That screwed that socket up. Got it. Yep, should come off. All right, now. Yeah, that's fine. Now, I gotta remember how these things work. One's supposed to hold it still. And one's supposed to, yeah. But getting this one on there, it's in the wrong place. It's in just the wrong place. Let's try this one. So, in one of those drawers in the bottom box is a big blue box.
Okay.
And it's got a big old socket wrench in it. I need that socket wrench.
Socket wrench is inside the blue box.
Yep. it's a couple drawers down. Yeah, maybe.
All right, blue box. There's another one in there. I can bring the whole box.
Okay, that's a breaker bar. That is not a socket wrench.
Okay.
It'll work for now, but we need a socket wrench.
And the socket wrench. Okay. I'll go look.
Woo! Okay, so we got it apart. I didn't record a lot of it because it's a lot of fighting with these things. I've got some of these extra gearboxes for the turtle shells. I say that I've got one gearbox for the turtle shell. You see, I've got it apart. I was right. There is an intermediate shaft that's stripped out. Okay. And it's this one right here is stripped. It's just totally, it's almost all the way rounded off. So, and actually it looks like it's been that way. It just, evidently the rust was holding it. So, looking in here at this turtle shell, if you look right here, see the splines going here? Well, this on that one is stripped out. I don't remember if this is a clockwise or counterclockwise gearbox. So I'm going, the only real difference, I think, I mean, you buy it as an assembly, right? But the only real difference is this piece right here is flipped the other way, if I remember right. So I'm going to take this turtle shell off the top of this one, and I got to clean some of this stuff up. But anyway, take the turtle shell off top of this one, get the other rock guard off, and then I'm going to have to break this one loose from the next section. You know, if I was a smart man, I would go ahead and look at every single one of them while I've got it this far apart. But I've got to finish cutting. So I'm going to take this sucker apart right here. Not going to walk you through that. 4 bolts here, this little bolt here. Take all this stuff off the top, or take these off the top. There's 4 bolts here, just like this. And then that comes apart. If that's the way that I think it is, then we're just going to take this one, pop it in there, pop all the guts from that one on top of this one, and put everything back together. Anyway, that's the overall plan. Nothing ever goes to plan, so we'll see how that goes. Talking like this is all going to happen tonight, and it's not. But we can get the rock guard off. We can get the turtle shell off. We can get down inside of it and see if this one's going to work. Now, I do have another one. Oh, excuse me. That is actually, it's for the 617. It's the one that goes on the bottom of the gearbox, is what that one is. It does have a part in there that might work if this one doesn't. But if all goes well, again, we'll put that one in there. We'll rebuild the gearbox once we put this one in. So that's what we're going to do right now. I'm going to move this camera just a little bit out my way. We can move it over here, maybe. And we'll check back in and out. And hopefully we can get this thing fixed. But we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, so I want to show you my spiffy tool here. So the first step is when these spline shafts are stuck, and they will get stuck, you put this tool on there, and you you see it's a couple plates and some nuts and all that good stuff. So you put this tool on there, and then you weld a nut really, really well on the end of this right here. And that's still really, really hot because I just got done welding it. But it doesn't need to move much, right? But it needs to move. Here's what I learned last time. We're going to take these off. Excuse me, because with a full length shaft, those can get in the way. Alright, so that is still really, really hot. We only need to move, I mean, less than 2 inches. And we got some weld slag stuck over there. And actually, if you really want to get technical, this one's stuck too. But anyway, I'm not going to go that far, hopefully. Hopefully this will get me where I need to be. Get a wrench over here, 1.1/8 wrench. Just gonna pop that. This thing's still really, really hot where that nut's been welded on. Ow! And just like that, this whole thing is hot. So we're gonna keep going. I could have let it cool a little more probably. I welded the snot out of it. Alright. So now we're just gonna kind of tighten this as much as we can as we go. I might need a pry bar. Actually, what I need is a breaker bar to hold it still, but anyway. 2 2x4s between the, which I actually have right here. Move this one over here. That one there. Reach our other one without burning ourselves. And we gotta hold this sucker still. It's trying to move on us. Keep that from spinning, hopefully, at least for a little bit. And this was easier in the vise than on the machine. Oops, hitting the camera stand there. Yeah, I need something better to hold all this still. My 2x are already worn enough that they're not going to hold. Problem is, I'm not quite high enough off the ground there. Okay, we can't keep doing that. It's the only thing, if you make one of these, put a little more space between the center and the outsides. That's the only thing I wish I'd done different. But I was using something that already had holes drilled in it. So see what this is doing, this is pushing on that shaft there as well as so you just keep going and going and going. Eventually it's going to come out. I mean, they get really, really stuck. But I'm gonna have to get some other stuff here. So when we get closer to the end, we'll come back. All right, guys. I know it's probably a little harder to see, but we've got our entire cutter bar here. We did the intermediate shaft. Some of that got recorded, some of it didn't. We had some issues and with our tool, which I'm actually going to go get and I'm going to show you. So we had some issues with the tool we made to get the intermediate shafts off. And I mean, it worked. Don't get me wrong. Well, I said I was going to get it. I'm not entirely sure where I put it. Here it is. So, I mean, it worked. Don't get me wrong, but next time I make this tool, which there will be a next time because this one's pretty much not usable anymore. So the whole design of this, obviously, is to pull the shafts out when they get stuck. And it worked. But like I said in the earlier part of the videos, is these need to be further apart so you can get your wrench in there a little bit better. And then, so this whole thing needs to be bigger. This threaded rod, this is nowhere near big enough. You need a good, I'm gonna say at least an inch. And we'll find that out next time I have to do this because I'll just make one out of 1 inch. So you need at least a 1 inch piece to keep these from twisting. I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but those are no longer straight. So this tool is no longer any good. But it did serve its purpose. It got me to where I needed to be after much fighting. Okay, guys, I just wanted to go over a couple things because it got missed in the intermediate shaft tear down and assembly, just because I was having a hard time with it, and I fought with it a lot, which would have made for a whole lot of video editing, and I mean, just trying to slim the video down. So this is one of the module gearboxes on a New Holland disc mower. It doesn't have the top cap. It doesn't have any of that on there. It's still got, this one's still got a piece of a shaft stuck in it. And it's actually got a piece welded on this side, and I'll explain why I did that in a minute. So, and of course now everything's kind of stuck because it's been sitting out in the rain. One day, you know, I might find the stuff and rebuild this gearbox. But as of right now, I'm not going to. Anyway, so I wanted to go over a few things and what I did to get this all apart and then get it all back together. So this one's obviously very, very stuck. I was never able to get it off. This is the one that I actually ended up cutting the intermediate piece for. I cut that through to get to this, to cut it off so that the cutter bar would come apart. And then basically what I did on all the other gearboxes that I didn't video was I took this with this out of it, and I took this handy little blaster right here that you can get at your local hardware store, and I put air pressure to it and I blasted out inside where this goes real good, so there's not a lot of rust in there. I then took a new intermediate shaft and completely slathered the end of it in grease. Now, I didn't use anti-seize, I used grease. I slathered the end of that in grease, and then I took this and with, of course, this out, and I packed grease in there. And I wiped it around with my finger and stuck my finger in there and various screwdrivers and odds and ends to make sure it was in there really good. Now, I did that on both sides. I did it on every gear or every spline shaft that I put in. Of course, as you're putting it in, some of that's going to come back out, and I actually left all that extra kind of caked up around this right here. That is in hopes that the next time I have to take it apart, it's not so stuck. Now, of course, with heat comes grease melting, and it'll come out eventually, but I mean, anti-seize is the same way. So This piece right here, when I was first trying to get it out, and I mean, you can't see in there, but you can see in here, it is very, 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 very rusty. I welded this nut on here to try and get some, to try and get some impact. So using an impact, trying to get this to spin back and forth, right? Kind of going back and forth, trying to loosen up some of that rust so that I could get that thing apart. That obviously did not work. So that should be the right size. There it goes. It was just a little stuck. So there's nothing wrong with the bearings or anything in this thing, unfortunately. But because of what I had to do, basically the whole thing is bad. Fun, all right? So to get this apart, what you'd have to do is you'd have to take off both of these seals. And then you can actually buy a kit to replace this piece inside, which I'm going to do, but I'm not actually going to replace it. What I'm going to do is I'll end up cleaning this whole thing off, cleaning it out. I'll take this out, and then this will end up an empty gearbox, and I'll buy a kit so that when something happens, I can put it in. And it could either be a left or a right. It doesn't matter. Once I put it together, it's a left or a right. But if I don't put it together, the only thing that changes is this shaft that goes through the middle, and this gear flips over. So that gear is on this side. And that's how it changes from left to right. So, I mean, that's all it really takes to flip these around, but I'll get this cleaned up really well. I'm not going to do it on video because that's just a waste of y'all's time. I'll get it cleaned up really well. I'll get that thing out of there. I may actually video taking it out of there. And then we'll pull it all apart, paint it so that it doesn't get all rusty again, and then I'll find a kit that replaces that, which is available and is, of course, less than the gearbox. So we'll do that. Of course, when we do that, we have to get a new plug because that plug was no good. Anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about real quick. Make sure you lube up these splines before you put them back in to help with the next time you go and get them off. And you should be good. That's all I can really think of off the top of my head, putting everything back together. I've got to go back through, even though I timed it and I had it on the bench and I thought about it while I was on the bench, which you'll see later. I got to make sure there's oil in every one of the gearboxes, which I'll do that, you know, right before we head out to the field. There is oil in every single one. I'm just not sure there's enough oil in every single one because it was leaking. But anyway, that's it for the spline shaft, intermediate spline shaft replacement removal. Sorry I didn't get everything videoed, but maybe next time when we do one of these, we'll not have to fight with it so much. We'll get you a better video. Anyway, remember to like, subscribe, leave your comments below, and we'll see you later. Thank you.